Coming to you from the Deep South, this is the Blue Collar Leadership Podcast. High impact leadership is not reserved for leaders, and it has nothing to do with your position, title, or rank. However, it does have everything to do with your character. It's time to climb to the next level and beyond, personally and professionally. Now, let's start making it happen with your host, Mac Story.
Okay, guys, last episode we talked about 5 ways high impact followers increase their influence. We talked about followers choose their leaders. We mean people they want to follow, not have to follow. And as we get started in this part 20 of 19 of the Blue Collar Leadership Leading from the Front Lines series, this is also going to help you follow well. This is one of the most important principles that will actually allow you to increase your influence based on how well you follow. And it's easy to say, but it's hard to do, but it's simple. And I learned it from the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And it happens to be, I titled my chapter 20, Seek First to Understand. What I learned from Dr. Covey in the 7 Habits, the 5th habit is seek first to understand, then be understood. So what that really means is seek first to be influenced by others, then to influence others. That's why this goes in along with leading yourself well. And I'll tell you now, if you hadn't listened to episode 20 of the Blue Collar Leadership Podcast, and you want to dive into some more of my personal thoughts around this topic, in episode 20, I shared how I lost the relationship with my son for 4 years, from age when he was 15 until he was 19. And the way I got it back when he turned 19, or when he was 19 years old, was I actually got this principle right. And so I'm not going to share it all here because I shared it in episode 20. But if you want that personal story of how this one principle that I'm teaching you on today's episode, that I'm just introducing you to, go back and check out episode 20. So I want to share a quote with you, though, as we get started, from Dr. Covey. And Dr. Covey says, principles are not invented by us or by society. They are the laws of the universe that pertain to human relationships and human organizations. They are part of the human condition, consciousness, and conscience. To the degree people recognize and live in harmony with such basic principles as fairness, equity, justice, integrity, honesty, and trust, they move toward either survival and stability on the one hand, or disintegration and destruction on the other hand. And those are words by Dr. Covey, author of the 7 Habits. That man probably changed my life, probably more than any person on this planet has changed my life. And I never met him. I just read his books. And I let him influence me through his content in his books. And so that's why I'm so passionate about sharing my books and sharing these podcasts, to try to motivate and inspire you to read more books so you can slow down and digest it. I know a lot of people say, I don't like to read, or it takes me too long. It's okay. It doesn't matter how long it takes you. The thing is to read thought-provoking content, or listen to thought-provoking content, just like you're listening to this podcast. My book's on audio as well, and many other authors' books are on audio. So when I say read, it doesn't literally mean read. It could be also listen to the book, but it means digest and dive into content. So when we talk about seeking first to understand, you will always learn more from listening than from speaking. Another one of those common sense things, right? If you remember back to part 4 of this series, that whole talk was about common sense. And one thing I shared was everything you're going to hear throughout the rest of this book is all common sense. The problem is it's not common practice. To get the value out of what's commonly understood, remember, we all often have to have uncommon sense to apply it. When it comes to influence, one of the best ways to influence another person, and I said this at the start, is to first be influenced, with an ED, influenced by the other person. What you're doing is you're allowing them to lead you. When they're influencing you, you're allowing them to lead you. So that's what seek first to understand means. That means let other people go first. Let other people lead first, if you want to use those words. Kevin Cashman had this to say: authentic listening is not easy. We hear the words, but rarely do we really slow down to listen and squint with our ears to hear the emotions, fears, and underlying concerns. So that's some pretty good thoughts from Kevin. And when he's saying squint with our ears, he's talking about, just like you hear the phrase, read between the lines. When we squint with our ears, we're listening between the words. And we're looking for feelings and emotions and that sort of stuff to truly understand the other person. Harvey Mackay offered this advice. He says, you can win more friends with your ears than with your mouth. People who feel like they're being listened to feel accepted and appreciated. They feel like they're being taken seriously, and what they say really matters. So Harvey's words, pretty accurate right there. You win more friends with your ears than with your mouth. So again, if you're a frontline leader, seek first to understand the boss. That's how you apply this principle. Instead of telling them everything you think, seek first to understand them until they feel understood. Then they're ready to listen to you. If you are the boss, flip it around and seek first to understand your team before you start telling them what to do. Find out what they don't know. You may go up and tell them a bunch of stuff they already know, but there may be stuff they don't know that they actually need you to tell them. So seek first to understand. And again, it goes either way. It doesn't matter. That's why this stuff is about people. It's not about being the boss or not being the boss. It's about being a leader. So regardless of who you are and where you are, leverage your influence by seeking first to understand. Maybe if it's at home with your children, you're the mom or you're the dad. Instead of telling them how it is all the time, seek first to understand them so that they feel understood. Then they're more open to listening to you. Sonia Hamlin, she had this to say, and I'm going to leave you with this for the end for this episode. Sonia says, listening requires giving up our favorite human pastime, involvement in ourselves and our own self-interest. It's our primary, entirely human focus. And it's where our motivation to do anything comes from. With this as a base, can you see what a problem is created when we're asked to listen to someone else? So I'm going to leave you with that thought today. But if you're in an emotional situation, especially, seek first to understand. Lead yourself well by pausing and seeking first to understand. Because when the other person feels understood, they're far more likely to be open to listening to you. That's when you get to do your influencing. All right? Talk to you next time. Have a great day.
Make it happen or someone else will. It might as well be you. Are you serious about taking your career and your life to the next level and beyond? Check out Max Story's Blue Collar Leadership Series books and others, now available on audio, along with paperback and ebooks at Amazon, iTunes, and Audible. Please visit bluecollarleadership.com to learn about Max books, programs, special offers, certifications, and more. Thank you for listening to the Blue Collar Leadership Podcast.